When I was going through my doctorate program, I had a professor who said one of the most astounding things that I think I heard in a long time at that particular time. Unfortunately, things get worse and worse as you keep living. You think you can't be one upped, but you can. So he said at the time, he said that he did not consider persons such as Donald Trump or Stalin or the Mustache Man or any other negative figure like that in history as leaders. Sadly, this is not a foreign concept in the leadership studies paradigm. There are many academics who don't consider bad leaders to be leaders, whether they are leading effectively in their negative aspirations. They just don't consider them as leaders for whatever reason. My name is Dr. L. I have a PhD in leadership, and we are going to be conducting some investigations today into what bad leadership has been looking like in these last few days. We're going to take an examination of the president. We're going to take an examination of some other political leaders as well. And I'm going to finish this off with some things that some people in the leadership in the FBI should have known. Welcome to the breakdown. If I didn't welcome you already, thank you so much for coming here. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. Got over 1,000 subs. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Make sure it's very important you continue to hit the like button and as well as keep the engagement going. Listen, if you don't like the content, you can even hit the dislike button as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to play a short by our president, dear leader. So let's get into it here. Share screen. Oh, we'll do this one here.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
Already claiming this to be terrorists. We at this particular time that he's making this statement, we don't know. We don't know who did it. There was no arrest made, etc. But I want you to hear how he's framing these arguments and already stoking us up to be divided against one another. What we have to do is we have to slow down in these situations. We have to slow down, wait and see what the investigation is going to do. I did this when I was in internal affairs. I did it when I was a supervisor investigating incidences in the police department. This is what we have to do. You have to slow down and take breaths. And this is what he should have been calling for at this particular time. We don't know what's going on. I think the governor of Utah did a fantastic job with that. We don't know what's going
on. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country.
Law enforcement officials. Would that be the members also of January 6th who you pardoned?
From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together We will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory.
All right, that's enough of that. So that is the president there addressing the nation concerning the tragic death, and I don't celebrate that at all. I think that it was really disgusting, but I want to point out how our leaders acted and reacted during this time. Enter Nick Freitas. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. He's an American politician, social media influencer, Republican. He has been a member of the Virginia House of Delegates since 2016. He unsuccessfully sought a Republican nomination for U.S. Senate in the 2018, narrowly losing in the primary election to Corey Stewart. He was the Republican nominee in the 2020 election to represent Virginia's 7th congressional district in the U.S. House of Representatives, which he lost by 49 to 51 to Abigail Spanberger, the incumbent Democratic Congresswoman. So, as we're going to show, he's a social media influencer and American politician. He's in, seems as if he is strictly for the state there. So, we're going to take a look at what he had to say following the tragic death of Charlie. So this is Nick Freitas and his social media influencing gig, his job here. And this video is titled My Response to the Left. You can go over to his channel and check out the full context of this. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, but I want to highlight what he says here. And again, it's going to be very important because he's going to talk about what his response in reaction to the situation that happened with Charlie Kirk, and his reaction and what he posted on X without having any information, without knowing no one had been arrested, no information, just blaming the left. This is the issue that we're having in all situations. If the left does it, they shouldn't do it either. But here we have the right stoking up fires of flame. And these are just two of the people that I saw. I saw other politicians and other people on from Fox News. This is the left. We're at war and this and that. You started it. We're going to finish this. And Matt Walsh and all these other pundits all chiming in. We haven't gotten any information yet at the time that they made this. At the time that they made this, they hadn't had any information. So why are you making videos like this?
You know, let's jump to that real quick, just so everyone has context of what I'm talking about. So I'll read this off. This was read my tweet. We'll put that one on there. So I'll tell you what the Speaker of the Virginia House of Delegates responded to.
Okay, so before he reads this here, right? So this is his post, Nick Freitas, on X. And you can't see the date on here, but it's going to become visible in a moment here. If you want to pause and read it here, they'll probably do some more to make it visible. But just take a look at the date of this, when this occurred.
So this is what I said yesterday. And I waited on this.
This is what he said yesterday. Is the date here visible yet? No, it's still not visible yet. You can pause and read it here.
Because I waited on this, I prayed on it, and I was like, no, I believe this is true. So this is what I said. That I am told that as a state representative, this is the moment where I'm supposed to express my heartfelt condolences and then stand in solidarity with those on the other side of the aisle as we condemn political violence and stand unified as one people. But we aren't one people, are we? The truth is we haven't been for some time now, and there is really no point in pretending anymore if there ever was. We are two very different peoples. We may occupy the same piece of geography, but that is where the similarities seem to abruptly end. I convinced myself for a long time that whenever the left called me a racist, a bigot, a sexist, a fascist, a threat to democracy, for even the most innocent of disagreements, that it was simply hyperbolic rhetoric done for effect. And now the effect is a widow and 2 orphaned children because the left couldn't bear the thought of a peaceful man debating them and winning. I don't think they realize it yet, but murdering Charlie is going to be remembered as the day where we finally woke up to what this fight really is. It is not a civil dispute among fellow countrymen. It's a war between diametrically opposed worldviews which cannot peacefully coexist with one another. One side will win and one side will lose. Charlie tried to win that fight through argumentation, through discussion, through peaceful resolution of differences, and the other side murdered him. Not because he was extreme or inciting violence.
The other side murdered. He didn't even know that yet. Here is a leader who ran for Senate. And if you read through the rest of his Wikipedia profile, this man has a bachelor's in intelligence management. Not a dumb guy. Why are you making this post? He made this the same day he was killed. They didn't have any suspects. They didn't know anything, but this is what he puts out. And this is why you got the visceral reaction. So now he's got to respond. Now he's going to make a video responding to this, responding to the visceral reaction about this post.
Other hyperbolic slur they hurled at him. They murdered him because he was effective, because he was unafraid, because he inspired others and made them feel like they had a voice, that they were not alone. And he did it at the very institutions which have fomented so much hatred toward conservatives. I don't want to stand in solidarity with the other side of the aisle. I want to defeat you. I want to defeat the godless ideology that kills babies in the womb, sterilizes confused children, turns our cities into cesspools of degeneracy and lawlessness, and that murdered Charlie Kirk. Social media is aflame right now with leftist celebration of Charlie's death. I wonder if any among them understand what has just happened. If there is a Yamamoto somewhere in their midst warning that all they have done is awoken a sleeping giant. I doubt it. I think they gave up such introspection and self-awareness long ago. I don't know exactly what will happen next. I just know that it won't be the same as what has happened in the past. There will be thoughts and prayers. Charlie would have wanted prayers, not for himself, but for those left behind and for the country that he loved. But then there will be a reckoning.
I want to highlight this. There will be thoughts and prayers. Charlie would have, you can't see my cursor. Charlie would have wanted prayers, not for himself, but for those left behind and for the country that he loved. But then there will be a reckoning. And that is my concern. When you have leaders like this who are using such drastic, hyperbolic, visceral, coded attack dog language, this is always what you can go back to my other videos about this incident. It's tragic what happened to this man. However, when these leaders take this, I was always concerned about the backlash. I was always concerned about lone wolves taking off doing their thing. We have HBCUs on lockdown. Who knows how many other churches are taking precautions, black churches in particular, mosques, synagogues, members of the LGBT, all because people like this are making videos, posts, and you don't have the information. And this man should have known better. Look at the bottom of the screen here. Last edited 7:58 p.m. September 10th. This is the day this man was pew-pewed. No information. Had we had a suspect at that time? Had we had pictures at that time? We didn't have anything. We had a couple of videos of this man running across the rooftop. And this is the post he puts out. Then there will be a reckoning. That was always my fear. What kind of blowback? Now he wants to defeat us. And he's not the only one saying this type of stuff. And not even us. I'm not even a liberal. But saying he wants to defeat those on the other side of the aisles. No more discussion. He's saying no more discussion. He tried to have discussion. He's going to say this later on in the video. I'm not going to play it, but you can go watch the full video. I don't want to have discussions anymore. I want to defeat you in all this. This is what he's saying. There will be a reckoning. This is revenge, seek them out, go get them type of language. And coming from a member of the Virginia electorate, their assembly there.
My Christian faith requires me to love my enemies and pray for those who curse me. It does not require me to stand idly by in the midst of savagery and barbarism, quite the opposite. So every time I feel tired, every time I feel discouraged or overwhelmed, I am going to watch the video of a good man being murdered in Utah. I will force myself to watch it, and then I will return to the work of destroying the evil ideology responsible for that and so much more. Rest with God, Charlie. Your fight is over. Ours is just beginning. So Don Scott.
So you can go watch the rest of the video. I'm not going to sit here and put myself through that again. But this is the type of language. This is the type of coded language that causes other people to take up arms and go out there and march and snipe people and all this other nonsense. And he hadn't had any information. Let's take a look at Nancy Mace, representative from South Carolina, and what she had to say concerning this tragic incident once again, and how she feels about certain questions and finger pointing. Again, with these making these arguments, when these people are making these arguments and pronouncements, they hadn't had any information.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened. And I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. They probably, all the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
By that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
Political.
Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking.
No, not at all.
You said the Democrats
no, this is on. Democrats own this.
But is there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
Sometimes I think that these people should not be allowed to speak off the cuff or without having prepared statements and all this, because she couldn't answer the question. She wants to deflect. Are you kidding me right now? Well, you brought up the political divide. Of course, there were two members of the Minnesota government that were killed, or at least the husband and wife that were killed. And who owns that? Who owns that? So this is the leadership that is failing us, that is causing more divides, that is causing, we have, the good thing about social media is that everybody gets a voice and everybody gets to speak. The bad thing about social media is everybody gets a voice and everybody gets to speak. And here this particular lady is, we would not have known her thoughts off the cuff without social media, without, cameras and microphones and all this technology running up on people that just being able, they would have had time to think about what they're going to say. In the previous years, they would have had time to think about what they're going to say and formulate an answer that was going to be sound, at least thought out. Maybe not well thought out, but at least thought out. Even if they said some crazy off the cuff things, a lot of things that were just off the cuff, racist, misogynist, etc. However, this is what we're dealing with now, and this is this lady's response. Again, these people don't know what the issue was. They hadn't had a suspect. They don't know what. How do you know? You don't know anything about this. They don't know anything. All right, we're gonna finish this off here. I want to kind of get through this here. So what we're going to take a look at now is we're going to take a look at Occupy Democrats, and we're going to take a look at Nancy Mace after we find out some information. Let's hear she's changed her tune.
Came to my attention via Brian Allen, who posted, "Look at all that hate and rage coming from Nancy. 48 hours of mega frothing at the mouth, blaming liberals, trans folks, the deep state, hell, and even woke culture. And now the shooter wasn't a leftist, wasn't trans."
It sounds like the shooter was a tranny or pro-tranny. And just because I want to protect women, that I'm worried about getting murdered? Are you fucking kidding me? It's out of control. And enough.
Listen, these people are leaders. These people are this lady is a leader, and she's swearing like this in front of the press like this.
Is enough, and I'm going to double down on this. I'm going to be more vigilant than ever. I'm going to be louder than I've ever been until this shit stops. It's got to stop. And all the security measures, we've taken many security measures leading up to this because of these lunatic trannies. But now, I have police posted outside of my offices in South
Lunatic trannies.
Carolina. I have employees that are afraid to come to work. I have children who think they're going to get murdered in school. And so it's going to end.
Would that be the same children who the Republicans continue to block? And again, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat nor a liberal. But we know that the Republicans continue to block any type of legislation or any type of investigation into what would stop these school shootings. We know this.
And you guys in the press need to be more responsible about this and actually be fair and cover the things that are happening. It's unbelievable what's happening in this country. And, the left and the Democrat Party has allowed this stuff to happen. And I'm sick and tired of it.
Do you know who the shooter is? No, but we've heard reports privately, and I guess it's being reported out now, some of the anti-fascist, pro-transgender things that were written either inside the rifle or on the ammunition. You might know better than I do. Do you know if they've identified?
There's been nothing that has been put in court documents or sworn to at all.
Yeah, we know this is a political assassination, and any theory otherwise is just bullshit and a lie. So I hope that you guys will report on it honestly.
Did you hear that? She just asked the press if they knew the fact.
Oh my God. She is. All right. So I want to play this here where we're going to look at President Trump here as he answers the question. And he can't stick to the point here about President Trump. President Trump can't stick to the point about this is crazy about his good dear friend who's now departed, but because he's got to talk about the big beautiful ballroom that they're building in the White House. Donald Trump is asked about how he's holding up after the death of his friend Charlie Kirk, and he started bragging about construction at the White House. Bro isn't right at the head. This is from Art Candy.
In the head.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 years? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started. So it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
Let's review the math of what our president just said. That reporter set him up to emote on the terrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. And our commander-in-chief spent exactly 2 seconds and 4 words on his expression of grief, eulogizing his loss.
I'm having a hard time with I didn't mean to play all that there. So that's what's going on there, right? These are the leaders. Now, I think that the governor of Utah did a fantastic job in all of his speeches, whether they're off the cuff or not. He was really trying to take the tone down, trying to be centered, trying to be very measured in his responses. Kudos to him. That is what actual good leadership should look like. Let's see. Now, I want to finish this off by speaking about the man of the hour here. And I'm saying that with all due respect to Charlie Kirk and his passing. And I want to speak to the ideas that I spoke to the ideas that he already put forth, and I don't want to rehash that, but I want to speak to his leadership skills and abilities because that's the focus of this particular video. Now, Charlie Kirk was obviously an ambitious man who had deep held convictions and thoughts. I don't have enough information to go into his social psychology, to his thinking and all that. So what I read in another video, his net worth, I spoke about, at least I think I did. I edited it up. So, but I spoke about his what he charged for speaking engagement between $50,000 and $100,000. You can go to the Times of India; they have all this. I think his net worth was something like 12 million. His speaking engagements that he got paid for was between 50 and 100,000, depending on the venue. He got a lot of donations from mega donors, conservative mega donors. He had properties in Arizona and Florida, just doing well for himself. He started from nothing and then built himself up to the icon that he was. Now, what's important to here's what I want us to talk about when I speak about this particular man. When we speak about him, you have to think about, not only a man who's driven, motivated, and then built himself up, but then, the characteristics that he displayed along the way. He was very confident and concerned about his community. Take it or leave it, love it or hate it. This is what his thought process was. He was very concerned about the state of the world, and he tried to have dialogue. I praise him for at least trying to have dialogue. Did I agree with what he said? Vastly much of the time, no. Did I think he's wrong in what he was saying? Vastly, from what I heard, yes, I think he was wrong. But sometimes people are enamored by the forcefulness of someone's ego, the forcefulness of their words, and their confidence in saying what you're going to say. And that's why I think that as leaders, or anybody who's aspiring to be a leader, you got to speak what you're going to say, and you got to say it confidently. When everybody else is trying to push back on you, you just got to hold your ground and all that. But that's a story for another day about that. And there is a great video out there of a young lady who's debating him in one of those 1 minute, 2-minute rounds or whatever it is, kind of back and forth kind of thing, and then you get beeped off and go to someone else. There was a young lady who was part of a debate team who really ate Charlie's lunch. Anyway, so So that's Charlie. He was driven, he was motivated, he was dedicated to what he believed. He did what he had to do. But I also what I found interesting about this, and I'm going to leave it off here, is when we talk about leadership studies, a lot of times we focus on the leaders, and as I mentioned, some scholars don't want to focus on bad leaders because they don't want to classify them in the same vein as those who would be considered good leaders or effective leaders, however they want to word or phrase it. So, but I want to talk to today about another aspect about leadership studies, and that is the followers. Why was his message so outstanding? It was estimated that he started his program. I want to say, I don't want to guess about that, but something like he was receiving more and more donations again from mega donors. Something like $92 million a year, if my memory serves me correctly. So I think that that's problematic because he was getting a lot of donations. Vast majority of them, again, were coming from conservative mega donors. But think about the young children he was going to and trying to attract with his message. And when you think about that, he was going to college campuses. Why was he going to college campuses, even though this man hadn't finished himself? From what I understand, he dropped out of community college. Okay, so why are you dropping out of community college and then going back to the very campuses that you didn't matriculate through to the end? Why would you go back there and just try to speak to these people? Because they're young and because they're vulnerable and impressionable. This is why. Another part of the invulnerable that they're another level of their invulnerability or their vulnerability, I should say. Another level of their vulnerability is the fact that they were um, uh, uh, young white males, in particular, are the subject of a lot of discussion this day and time with the lack of jobs, the lack of the esteem and prestige that their forefathers had. And just to put it quite frankly, a lot of them are very angry about that. They see a lot of minorities taking jobs. They see a lot of minorities getting jobs. They see a lot of minorities flocking to the country, moving to their regions, and becoming successful. And they feel as if somehow, some way, that their power is being lost and slipping through the hands, not only to minorities, but also to women. And so therefore, this is the backlash. So Charlie, I think, really kind of honed in on this particular backlash that a lot of white males suffered from. He spoke to these different college campuses where I would assume he would know. I mean, I don't think he's dumb, that he would know that we're not filled with a lot of white males. So who he's talking to? Was he trying to get the young white females to get on board? Was he talking to the young white males who were in attendance? It's questionable as to his motives. I'm not going to say they were sinister. I'm saying that he was. I'm just saying that who he was addressing the vast majority of his message to were those who were impressionable, young, still forming their frame of thinking, still trying to find their place in the world. And as they look towards the future and look towards the world, they didn't see much of a bright future. And this is the hallmarks of those who seize power. Trump did it. The mustache man did it, and we can go on through the list about those who take the disenfranchised, take and blame other people. It's the people with the small hats. It's the minorities. It's the browns. It's the women. All these different people are stealing your power. This is your birthright. This is your country. This is all your stuff, and somebody else is taking it. So we're going to take our country back, and we're going to take it back to these days and times of yesteryear. This golden age fallacy. We're going to reinvigorate that. So that's my thought about Charlie Kirk and his situation. So I am definitely going to end this off. We're going to review a video here by a couple of ladies who I just found the other day who I thought did a fantastic job. And we're going to talk about the FBI leadership and their failure as well. And this comes from I've Had It News. I've had it. I don't know what the P stands for. I've had it. P News. Breaking: Charlie Kirk shooter caught, and he's MAGA. And he's MAGA. Remember all that trash that everyone was speaking about before? And these ladies, I don't know who they are journalists or what, but they have certainly done their homework, their due diligence, and they have found out some information. And let me just say, I sat through I attended a training on hate
news. Tyler Robinson has been named the suspect.
Oh, my computer's running slow today. Hate groups and it was called racist odinism, symbols, codes, beliefs, rituals, and violent crimes. I just attended that a little while ago. That was a training that I had attended. So what we're going to see here is these ladies have done more homework and should have known a lot of things than the FBI. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, claiming fair use here. Hope these ladies don't mind. I think they did a fantastic job. It's already on 1.25 speed. Here we go.
Breaking news, Tyler Robinson has been named the suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk, and details surrounding this person are starting to emerge. Kylie, put up the first one. Tyler Robinson and his family don't look like trans liberals to me. Tyler's family is registered Republicans. His father is a minister and former law enforcement. They have family members in the military. Oh, and Tyler's parents introduced him to weapons at an early age. Kylie, put up these photos individually. Here he is with his father, and you notice his father has on kind of that Patriot MAGA coded style merch. And here he is.
I wear shirts like that. I don't think it's MAGA coded. It could, listen, it could be. It could be. I don't get that though. I got some shirts like that. I like the military fit and the cotton and the feel of them.
Was raised in gun culture, shooting guns. So we knew that the person who shot Kirk would have to have experience. Here he is as a very small child with an assault rifle. This has sadly become a huge part of American culture where kids, here he is sitting down with a huge weapon. So this fits not the profile of a radical leftist, because we don't go to gun shows and take photographs with weapons. This sadly is what always comes out about these right-wing extremists. Gun culture is a huge part of it. Loneliness, radicalization online. Pumps, what did you say, the Utah governor? All this is breaking very quickly. The Associated Press is reporting what, Pumps?
That Tyler Robinson had become radicalized and got into politics recently and did not believe what Charlie Kirk believed, but it doesn't go into specifics.
Okay. And then here's what we know about the shooter. Call to Activism is reporting Tyler Robinson of Utah. His father is a retired sheriff. They're Mormon. They're white. He was raised with guns and shooting, and he wore a Trump costume for Halloween. And you see these same photographs again, him with his dad, and his dad with that kind of patriotic black and white American flag, all that MAGA coded hyper masculinity style merch. And you see the gun in his hands when he is a small child.
Again, I don't know about that, but there is the same group that I went to get to receive the training about Odinism in the white supremacy groups and their connections, and that's going to become apparent or important in a moment here. That same group does mention that the Blue Lives Matter flag, which is the American flag in black and white with a blue streak through one of the bars there, has been co-opted by some racist groups. And to my knowledge, Blue Lives Matter has not pushed back on their usage by racist groups.
And then next up is that within the MAGA movement, if somebody steps out of line, they start to intercannibalize. And 2 days before the murder of Charlie Kirk, Laura Loomer was calling out Charlie Kirk online in a since deleted tweet. She tweeted that Charlie Kirk had stabbed Trump in the back and didn't have Trump's back and all of this other stuff. She since deleted it. Now she's gone on that she's going to make a list of all the leftists and liberals and Democrats that she thinks contributed to Charlie Kirk's murder. And in fact, what contributed to it is a Republican family that teaches their children about guns at a very young age. And sadly, this has become such a part of right-wing American culture. And I want to say that this makes me sad. This makes me sad for that family, makes me sad for that kid, because our politicians have never, ever responded to gun violence. We've had presidents shot. Charlie Kirk has been shot. Hide and watch. What they're going to do after this is they're going to continue on the same path they always continue upon, which is more guns, more accessible all the time. In Oklahoma, where we live, they have vending machines with ammo in them in 7-Elevens and other type convenience stores. I'm not sure if it's a 7-Eleven. I don't want to get that wrong, but like convenience stores, there are ammo vending machines.
I'm not gonna play all of their content here, but I want to get to the point about the FBI director and what she says and what this journalist says about that. So let's fast forward a little bit here.
Republicans have started just a smear campaign about law enforcement, and they fired people that were career law enforcement people and put Cash Money Patel in charge of the FBI. That's like Pumps and me being in charge of the FBI because we supported Kamala or something. It's
Well, he's got a little bit more qualifications than that, but her point is well taken here. So Cash Money Mattel. I've always said that every time I said this man's name, Cash Patel, it sounds like a rapper's name. But of course he wouldn't like that. So let's listen on.
insane. All right, play the clip.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk.
You know what he's not going to say? What he's not going to say is what a objective FBI official would say is we have a problem with domestic terrorism, and we have a gun problem, and we are getting less and less safe.
She's absolutely right about that. I've talked about that ad nauseum. I had to take 2 Homeland Security classes. I wrote about that. It's a problem that has spiked under President Obama. It is not going away, even though when Jeff Sessions comes into office, during the Trump 1 administration, he then focuses his attention on the Black identity extremists. These people are not, if they even exist, are anywhere near to the white extremist terrorists that are running around here. HVVs, homegrown violent extremists, all these different terminologies for them. It hasn't gone away, and they're not going to address it, which is terrible. This man is a brown man. He's a man of color. He's not going to address it. And they dismantled it from the Homeland Security, from the FBI. There's not as many inner workings looking at these organizations, these groups. And this is going to become apparent, as she's going to mention right here. This is the failure of leadership.
Children shouldn't be at gun shows holding assault rifles at a young age, because then at some point they spend some time online and they get radicalized and they go shoot people in cold blood. This is not a civil society. This is a homegrown, MAGA-grown incident. And we were wrong. Everybody was wrong that is trying to rile people up about this. We need to get to the root of the problem, but they don't want to, because this administration pardoned all of the January 6th violent offenders. And they have the audacity on Fox News to tell you that the people who want these Trump supporters to have health care and have livable wages and have their Social Security benefits waiting for them, they want to tell you that we're violent, and it's bullshit, and they're liars, and this is homegrown MAGA shit, as always. All right, we'll be back later on today.
While that was a good video, that was not the one I was thinking about. This one's Charlie Kirk shooter sends Trump and MAGA into total chaos. I think this is the one I wanted to play. We're going to fast forward a little bit here.
22-year-old was able to execute that kind of shot because he was raised shooting guns his whole life. And he was raised in very right-wing media echo chambers, and it wasn't enough. And so he went further into it and further into it. And so that's what all of those signs mean. And if I'm able as a 51-year-old woman to figure that out in an hour, it troubles me that the FBI gave that information.
Hold on. Let me back it up here a second here. This she's going to break down what those symbols and writings were on the sides of these casings that were fired or had not been fired, or that he being Tyler.
Asking Grok, which this is right in the Death Star, the AI of Elon Musk, okay? And Antifa symbols with the shooter. You would think that the FBI would know about all of these dark, right-wing dark web groups and what kind of symbolism they used. I guess ever since Cash Money, Ching Ching, took over the FBI, they don't know this stuff. And so here is a screen grab of somebody asking Grok, which this is right in the Death Star, the AI of Elon Musk, okay?
I didn't know this. I guess Grok is the name of AI that is incorporated into X, I'm assuming. So they're asking AI what these symbols mean.
About these symbols and how it attaches to the shooter. Somebody asked Grok, in your opinion, Grok, what do these symbols track his political beliefs in? Grok says, in my view, these inscriptions on the camo cases, and here's what they said, you guys. Notices bulges, OWO, oh, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow, Chow. Catch this fascist. And if you're reading this, you are gay, LMAOOOO, aren't random or left-leaning signals like some early reports claimed. Instead, they trace Tyler Robinson's political beliefs squarely to the fringes of the alt-right, specifically the Groyper movement led by figures like Nick Fuentes. This crowd positions itself as hyper-patriotic, pro-Trump conservatives who see mainstream Republicans like Charlie Kirk as sellouts or fake conservatives infected by globalism, liberalism, or even fascism light. The Bulge's OWO bit is a crude, mocking nod to transphobic memes that originated on Tumblr but got co-opted by right-wing trolls to spot trans people in crowds. Pure Groyple style bigotry. Bella Ciao flips an anti-fascist World War II partisan song into ironic ammo for ridiculing leftists while tying into their beef with fascist establishment figures like Kirk, whom Fuentes has repeatedly trashed. The gay taunt is straight up homophobic bait, emblematic of the group's anti-LGBTQ venom. And catch this fascist. That's a direct shot at Kirk, framing the attack as purging a traitor from the right. Overall, it's not Antifa or trans activism. It's the toxic underbelly of the MAGA ecosystem where online radicalizations turns personal grievances into violence against perceived ideological impurities. Robinson's Republican registration and Trump donations fit the profile. A young guy steeped in gun culture and pandemic era echo chambers, lashing out at, quote, the enemy from within on his own side. Tragic, but a reminder that extremism doesn't care about party lines. It just amplifies hate.
Now this is from I guess Gronk being asked, or Grok, or whatever it is, an AI that is by Elon Musk. So that's Elon Musk is pumping this out. AI is not always correct. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But the point that she's going to make here is the FBI didn't know any of that. They didn't know what any of this stuff meant. Or if they did, they didn't tell us.
So this is a perfect storm of a kid that is raised in a Republican family, very MAGA family. They go to gun shows together. A lot of American kids, for our international listeners, they're raised in these MAGA circles where families take their kids to gun shows. Kylie can show an image of the kid with, assault weapons, and you see pictures of the whole family experiencing this together. And I want to remind you at the beginning of this episode, I talked about how for the last 48 hours, Fox News, the president, and others blamed liberals. Liberals don't raise their kids like this. This is something that this gun fetish culture thing that is very unique to the right. And I'm not trying to knock them. And I just think that this has become so normalized through so much propaganda from the NRA that a 22-year-old was able to execute that kind of shot because he was raised shooting guns his whole life. And he was raised in very right-wing media echo chambers, and it wasn't enough. And so he went further into it and further into it. And so that's what all of those signs mean. And if I'm able as a 51-year-old woman to figure that out in an hour, it troubles me that the FBI gave that information to the Wall Street Journal. And, the rhetoric against trans people is already so fever pitch because they desperately wanted that to be the outcome. And you can figure out what this is very quickly. You would think the fucking FBI would know this, but
they gutted the FBI, so therefore they don't know and they don't care about that. Not that they gutted it, but certainly they changed the leadership at the top and changed the priorities about all this. And this is what it comes down to, right? So now we got allegedly a MAGA person purging those who don't believe in the full-throated MAGA type of thing and see this man as a traitor. There's something on here she says about Nick Fuentes. I'm not going to play the whole thing here because this has gone on for a little bit, but there's something on here about Nick Fuentes saying, don't join me. Let me see where we're at here. This is 11:21. Let's go over here. This might be it here. No, that's Laura Loomer. There was a tweet that she had from Nick Fuentes where he is disavowing. Here it is. I think it is. I'm not going to play it here. This is Asuka Groyper, right? Groyper is some term that they've created to do whatever. To all my followers, if you take up arms, I disavow you, I disown you in the strongest possible terms. This is not what we're about, Nick Fuentes, right? So he's got to get ahead of this, right? He's got to get ahead of this. So September 11th. So once they started figuring this thing out, so he's got to get ahead of this, because if he doesn't, and there's more people who are in his chats, supporters, donations, whatever, and they start offing people, it's going to come back to him. And there was huge lawsuits in the 80s about people who sat in these panels and set up leadership roles in these white supremacist movements, and their followers went out and did stuff, and they were decimated. So that's that. So 1121 here.
Yes, but what do I know? And then this was really interesting. Here's Cash Money saying something at his press conference today, talking about that they had arrested the suspect. You're going to die, Pumps. All right, get the quote.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Okay. Valhalla. So I had to Google, what is this? And Kylie put this up. In alt-right and white nationalist circles, Valhalla has been co-opted as a symbolic term very different from its original Norse mythological meaning. Here's what it usually signifies in that world: martyrdom and warrior afterlife. Valhalla is often invoked as a kind of afterlife reward for those they see as warriors and martyrs for their cause. This is used in alt-right and white nationalist circles. Why would the head of the FBI say such a thing? Oh, that's right. He was a far-right podcaster, and in a bizarre turn of events, a brown-skinned white nationalist that trafficked in the same far corners of the internet that the shooter did. And he says to somebody who was purely, I mean, Charlie Kirk, as far as I know, was very overt about his Christian faith. And I'm not religious at all, but to a Christian to say you're going to see them somewhere other than heaven, that would pretty much be offensive to really, really devout followers of Christ. But the head of the FBI is using the same alt-right language that led to the murder of Charlie Kirk. So any chance that we're going to have politicians that come out and tell us exactly what's going on here, and that there are sects of the internet and silos of the internet that are really radicalizing people that were brought up around guns, brought up in MAGA culture, and it's getting out of control. And they see this as martyrdom so that they can meet people in Valhalla, and Cash Money is all about that. And I would be remiss if I didn't close it out with one of Pump's favorite subjects. And this is Nancy Mace, who has been psychotic and hateful.
All right, so she's going to talk about Nancy Mace and all that. Oh, yes. Well, let me play this because we saw the vitriol that she was spewing.
And ridiculous and performative and demonic and just trashy, just trash. She finds out that the call came from inside the house. And I mean, the 180 is unbelievable. She goes from Civil War, fucking bring it, come on, let's fuck you each other, to this. We know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We will try to do the same.
Oh, yeah. Well, now, maybe it's mental health and mental illness and this and that. So listen, that's that. This is what we're dealing with here. This is what we're dealing with. People who don't have any scruples or morals or values. These are our leaders who are doing this type of thing, who are not doing their job, who are making references to Odinism. And as I mentioned, I sat through a presentation about Odinism and how the right MAGA movement and white racists and white nationalists are embracing Odinism and using at least adopting their signs and symbols. The FBI didn't catch that, apparently. And, it took a 51-year-old newscaster to go up here and talk about this and find information that the FBI should have told us from jump. Here's what these symbols mean, right? And so you had when Groiper and whoever else they are, you had Nick Fuentes trying to disavow himself of all this type of stuff, right? So this is what we're dealing with here, right? So this is a failure of leadership in these times. This is a failure of leadership, and I'm very disappointed in this, and we got to get it better. We got to do a better job. So let me know your thoughts and your opinions. How do we hold our people accountable? Midterms are coming up, right? Write letters and let them know that you're completely disappointed, because they were ready. I really believe that they were ready to take up arms, and hopefully that there's been a calming voice through Nancy Mace's backtracking, through Nick Fuentes, and Trump now. Oh yeah, well I'm doing okay, but take a look at this ballroom I'm building up over here. Absolute craziness. This is the circus. This is the circus that we got going on here. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Hit me in the comment section. Much love and peace. Got a story you want me to talk about, or anything else you want to particularly when it comes to law enforcement, let me know. Where's my email here? Show topic, you guys. Hit me an email. I got a couple different emails, so it's been different times. Take care of yourselves. Much love and peace.